Welcome back. Today, we explore some of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. Today, we're diving into the world of Washington quarter dollar coins that could potentially make you a millionaire. First up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar was minted during a transitional period for U.S. coinage. The country had already been transitioning from the silver coinage to clad coins starting in 1965, when the U.S. Mint began using a copper-nickel alloy for the quarters. This change was sparked by the rising cost of silver. As a result, coins minted after 1964, like the 1966 quarter dollar, were no longer 90% silver, marking a significant shift in the way coins were produced. While the Washington quarter had been around since 1932, the 1966 version stands out due to its unique features. The quarter's obverse shows a portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, and on the reverse you'll see an eagle standing on a branch, symbolizing strength and the nation's heritage. This design was part of the U.S. Mint's regular coinage program, but when paired with the right condition or error, this coin can be worth far more than its face value. The 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark is already rare because of its low mintage compared to earlier years. In a lamination damage condition, however, its value can skyrocket. Lamination errors happen when there is a failure in the bond between the layers of metal, often leading to a chunk of metal peeling off the coin or a discoloration. These types of errors are highly sought after by collectors who enjoy the oddities in coins. The lamination issue makes this coin particularly valuable in the auction market, with its value reaching up to $89,500 or more, depending on the extent of the damage and the coin's overall rarity. Collectors specifically look for these types of coins to add to their error coin collections. The combination of a rare year and a lamination error can make this coin a standout in any collection. The 1966 Washington quarter had a mintage of over 800 million coins, making it somewhat common in its regular form. However, once you add the factor of lamination damage, it becomes a highly desirable collectible piece. Due to the huge mintage, this coin is not as valuable as other rarer coins from the same era, unless there's a minting error or it's in a much higher grade. The Washington quarter design in 1966 stayed largely the same as it had been for decades. It features a detailed bust of George Washington on the obverse, created by John Flanagan. This design is simple yet powerful, as it connects directly to American history, with Washington being the first president of the United States. On the reverse, the eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows is a symbol of peace and strength, an iconic representation of America's values. Lamination damage on a coin like this is quite rare, making it even more valuable. It occurs during the minting process when there is an issue with the metallic layers. If the bond is too weak, parts of the metal can separate, leading to patches of the coin's surface peeling off. This is considered an error coin, and collectors are drawn to the rarity of these imperfections. Collectors love these types of errors, and there's a strong community that seeks them out. The 1966 Washington quarter in lamination damage condition is especially prized because it reflects both the coin's unique minting history and the imperfections that make it one of a kind. Coins like this often find their way into error coin collections or are sold at auctions to enthusiasts who are willing to pay a premium for something this rare. Next up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar marks the beginning of a new era for U.S. coinage. After the silver crisis of the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint began producing coins with a new composition, using a copper-nickel clad design instead of 90% silver. This change was meant to combat the increasing cost of silver. The 1965 coin was significant because it was the first year that quarters were made with this new alloy, making them distinct from the pre-1965 coins. While 1965 was the first year of the clad quarters, this was also a time of change in coin production. The government was looking for ways to streamline and modernize coinage to reduce costs, and the mintage of certain coins, like the Washington quarter, was ramped up in an effort to meet public demand for more currency. In fine condition, the 1965 Washington quarter is not as valuable as other, rarer coins, especially when compared to coins in higher grades or coins with minting errors. However, this coin still holds a place in the market. The 1965 Washington quarter can be worth around $56,000 in fine condition, but certain collectors are willing to pay more for examples in better condition or those that have been well preserved. The 1965 Washington quarter was part of a transition to a new era of coinage, and collectors who specialize in the post-silver era find it to be an important addition to their collections. However, the real value often comes from the coin's condition, as the 1965 Washington quarter is fairly common in circulation. The 1965 Washington quarter had a high mintage, with over 1.8 billion coins produced that year, which means that this coin is quite common compared to rarer mintages from earlier or later years. While the high mintage keeps the coin's base value relatively low, it's still a valuable piece for collectors who are interested in collecting Washington quarters from different years. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter follows the same pattern that had been in place since 1932, featuring John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington on the obverse. The reverse side features the bald eagle, a symbol of the United States. The 1965 coin does not have the mint mark, as this was the year the U.S. Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins due to the large production volumes. The simplicity and elegance of the design made the Washington quarter one of the most beloved coins in the history of U.S. currency. Its consistent popularity means that it remains a favorite for both collectors and investors. The 1965 Washington quarter, like other coins of this era, sometimes exhibits minor minting defects or irregularities, but the absence of a mint mark is considered a non-error feature since it was intentional. However, certain coins may exhibit small issues like planche flaws, die cracks, or strikes that could increase their value in the eyes of collectors. While the 1965 Washington quarter is not as rare or error-prone as some of its counterparts, it holds a unique place in the hearts of collectors who appreciate the historical context and changes in coinage design. For those collecting specific years or types of Washington quarters, the 1965 coin is an important one to include in their portfolio. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter with a large date and no mint mark is one of the more fascinating coins from the 1970s era. When it was first minted, there was nothing that made it stand out as particularly rare or valuable. However, over the decades, this coin has gained recognition due to its connection to the broader Washington quarter series and its specific characteristics. The Washington quarter itself has a long and storied history, dating back to 1932. Designed by John Flanagan, it was created to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. Since its debut, the coin has undergone several design changes, but the obverse, featuring a portrait of Washington, has remained a constant. The 1974 Washington quarter is part of the standard series that was minted for circulation. However, a variety of factors have made this coin more valuable in the collector's market today. The coin's value has seen a sharp increase due to several reasons, including its mintage, the state of preservation fine condition, and its place within the Washington quarter series. In 1974, the U.S. Mint produced a significant number of quarters to meet the demand for circulating currency. The minting of these coins primarily took place in Philadelphia and Denver, with the Philadelphia Mint producing coins without a mint mark. The overall mintage for the 1974 Washington quarter was about 710 million, making it a relatively common coin. However, the key factor here is the rarity of finding these coins in fine condition, which is where the value starts to rise. The large date variety of the 1974 quarter became particularly interesting when collectors started to notice that the digits on the coin's date were noticeably larger compared to the small date variety from the same year. This subtle difference caught the attention of numismatists and collectors, leading to a higher demand for these large date quarters. Over time, many of these coins were worn down or became damaged due to circulation, making well-preserved examples far rarer and more valuable. The obverse of the 1974 Washington quarter remains largely unchanged from the original design by John Flanagan. It features a left-facing portrait of George Washington with the inscription, "Liberty," at the top. "In God We Trust," to the right of Washington's image, and the date of minting below. The distinguishing feature of the 1974 large date variety is the size of the numbers in the date. This feature was initially considered a minor design change, but it has since become one of the main points of interest for collectors. The larger size of the date digits gives the coin a distinct look compared to the small date variety, adding to its appeal. Though the 1974 Washington quarter in fine condition is not exceedingly rare, its collector value has grown significantly due to its historical context, design features, and demand in today's auction market. Coins in fine condition, meaning they exhibit moderate wear but still have clear details, are prized by collectors who are looking to complete their sets with high-quality examples. In recent years, auction houses have seen increasing interest in this particular coin, with prices often exceeding $20 or $30 in fine condition, especially when it has been graded by a reputable service such as the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, or professional coin grading service. Coins with higher grade conditions, such as extra fine or mint state, can fetch even higher prices, making them a highly sought-after item in the Washington Quarter series. Collectors also pay close attention to errors and other unique features that can further increase a coin's value. While the 1974 Washington Quarter is not known for having significant errors, there are still subtle varieties that can make a coin even more desirable. For example, some collectors actively seek out coins with slight die imperfections or those that exhibit unique toning patterns. One such error is the 1974 double die obverse variety, where the date appears to be doubled due to a misalignment in the die. This is a rare and valuable variation that can significantly increase the value of the coin. However, such errors are not common in the 1974 series, and finding an example in fine condition with a recognizable error would make for a major discovery in the coin collecting community. Next up, the 1995 Washington Quarter is an essential part of the later 20th century U.S. coinage. This coin may not be as widely discussed as older Washington quarters, but it holds significant value in the collector's market, particularly the 1995 quarter with the P mint mark. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, and this mint mark is particularly important for coins minted after the 1980s, as the mint began adding mint marks to distinguish coins made at different locations. The 1995 Washington Quarter is known for its clear and crisp design, as well as its relatively high mintage. However, despite these factors, its place in the market is largely driven by the collector demand for specific types of coins, including those in unique conditions or featuring notable features. By the 1990s, the Washington Quarter had undergone various design changes. The 1995 quarter features a reverse design that was used for most of the 20th century. The mintage of the 1995 quarters was incredibly high, with over 650 million coins produced that year. The primary differentiating factor for this coin's market value is its mint mark and condition. The 1995 coin was minted in both Denver D mint mark and Philadelphia P mint mark, but the P minted coins are often of particular interest to collectors due to the addition of the mint mark after a long period of the U.S. mint producing coins without mint marks. The reverse design features an eagle with a bundle of arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other, a design that was created by John R. Sinek. The design is accompanied by the words United States of America, e pluribus unum and quarter dollar. While this design has been relatively unchanged for much of the Washington Quarter's history, the 1995 coin is valued for its condition and mint mark. Despite the high mintage, certain examples of the 1995 Washington Quarter are highly sought after in today's market. Collectors often pay attention to the condition of the coin, and those in good condition with well-preserved details are much more valuable than heavily worn examples. As of recent auctions, the price for a good condition 1995 Washington Quarter with a P mint mark can range from $8,000 depending on its specific grade. One of the reasons collectors value this coin so much is its connection to the 20th century coinage system, as well as its historical context. The quarter was released during a time of significant change in the U.S. economy and was part of the post-World War II minting era. Like many coins from the 1990s, the 1995 Washington Quarter is not known for having many notable errors. However, collectors often seek out well-defined coins and those that have minor imperfections or unique toning, which can add to their rarity and desirability. For example, a coin with a misaligned die or double strike may attract higher bids at auction. Additionally, the Philadelphia Mint's P mint mark adds a layer of interest for collectors who focus on collecting coins with specific mint marks. The 1995 Washington Quarter, despite its relatively high mintage, is part of a series that still holds a special place in the hearts of many coin collectors. Next up, the 1969 Washington Quarter is a particularly interesting coin for collectors. The United States Mint produced these quarters with several distinct characteristics, and the large date variety, specifically the one without a mint mark, is highly coveted by coin collectors today. The 1969 Washington Quarter is part of a long-running series of quarters that have been minted since 1932, featuring George Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. However, the 1969 quarter carries unique characteristics that distinguish it from other years. During the 1960s, the United States Mint made several changes in the production of its coins. These adjustments were often subtle but significant for collectors, especially when it came to the date of the coins. The 1969 quarter is famous for featuring both a small and a large date variety. The large date variety is especially rare, and when combined with the absence of a mint mark, it becomes an even more significant find. The absence of a mint mark means that the coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which often produced higher quantities of coins than its counterparts in Denver and San Francisco. The market value of the 1969 large date Washington Quarter without a mint mark in fine condition has seen a steady rise over the years. In the current auction market, this coin can fetch upwards of $32,000 in fine condition, with the exact price depending on factors like demand and rarity. However, the value can increase significantly in better conditions. In extra fine or uncirculated condition, the 1969 Washington Quarter can be worth up to $50,000 or even higher. For well-preserved examples, it's not uncommon to see prices pushing beyond $100,000. The mintage of the 1969 Washington Quarter is relatively high compared to some other years, but the large date variety is still considered a rarity. Approximately 270 million quarters were minted in 1969. However, not all of them feature the large date, which is why collectors specifically seek out this variety. Out of the total mintage, a smaller percentage would have been the large date variety without a mint mark, which makes this coin even rarer. The design of the 1969 Washington Quarter mirrors the classic look of earlier issues, with a few key design elements that collectors love. On the obverse, we see a left-facing profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's image is surrounded by the inscription Liberty at the top, with the date 1969 below, and in God we trust to the right. On the reverse, we have a majestic eagle perched on a branch with the inscriptions United States of America above and $quarter below. These familiar features are part of the timeless appeal of the Washington Quarter series, which has been in continuous production for nearly 100 years. An error that some collectors look for with the 1969 quarter is a double die variety. While this specific error is more commonly found in pennies, it's possible to encounter a double die on quarters as well. This error occurs when a coin is struck more than once, leading to a noticeable misalignment in the design. For those with an eye for detail, spotting these errors can lead to a significant increase in the value of a coin. However, finding an error in the 1969 large date Washington Quarter is relatively rare, and it would certainly attract a higher price in the auction market. The 1969 large date Washington Quarter without a mint mark is highly sought after by coin collectors, particularly those focusing on Washington quarters. Collectors who specialize in varieties and mint marks are particularly drawn to this coin because of the low mintage of the large date variety. The Philadelphia Mint coins are often considered the most pristine examples, and because of the absence of a mint mark, it's easier to determine where the coin was produced. This makes it particularly attractive to both beginners and seasoned collectors who are looking to complete their Washington Quarter collections. Collectors may also seek out this coin to complete a set of Washington Quarters or to focus on coins from specific years that are more difficult to find in good condition. As Washington Quarters become more difficult to obtain in uncirculated condition, the market for these coins will only continue to grow. Next up, the 1991 Washington quarter with a large date and D mint mark is another important coin in the Washington quarter series, and it is valued highly by collectors for several reasons. By 1991, the design of the Washington quarter had remained largely unchanged since the 1930s. However, the United States Mint had introduced new methods of coin production by the early 1990s, and this quarter was produced in high quantities. The 1991 Washington quarter, in particular, was part of the regular coinage released for general circulation, and was also produced as part of proof sets. The D Mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest mints in the U.S. While the design was familiar, the year 1991 marked the transition into the modern age of coin production, and this coin would be part of the final years before major coin redesigns took place in the mid-1990s. The 1991 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark in good condition may not seem particularly rare at first glance, but this coin does have substantial value in the market today. The good condition of this coin allows it to fetch around $15,000 at auction, depending on its quality. While this value may seem low compared to older or rarer coins, it's important to remember that the market for modern coins is incredibly competitive. Many collectors are drawn to the historical significance of the coin, making it more valuable as time goes on. In the event of a market boom or increased demand, the coin could potentially climb to $27,200 in good condition. The mintage of the 1991 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark is quite high. It is estimated that over 1 billion quarters were produced in 1991, with a significant portion bearing the Denver Mint mark. While this may make the coin seem common, it's important to note that finding one in good or uncirculated condition can still be a challenge. Many of the 1991 quarters that were circulated over the years are worn or damaged, making well-preserved examples more desirable. The design of the 1991 Washington quarter remains consistent with the long-running series. As with other Washington quarters, the obverse features a profile of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. On the reverse, the eagle is depicted perched on an olive branch, a symbol of peace and strength. The D Mint mark is visible below the eagle, indicating the coin's production at the Denver Mint. The large date variety is particularly notable, as it is the standard design for the year and is distinguished from the smaller date variety produced in the same year. Some collectors actively search for errors in the 1991 Washington quarter, such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or coins with weak strikes. While the 1991 D Mint mark isn't known for a high occurrence of major errors, finding one in near mint or uncirculated condition with an error would be a significant find. Errors can drastically raise the value of a coin, especially if they are difficult to detect. While not as rare as earlier Washington quarters, the 1991 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark still holds interest for collectors who are building complete sets of Washington quarters or focusing on coins from specific mints. The D Mint variety is particularly important for collectors who specialize in coins minted in Denver. Additionally, there is always demand for coins from specific years, and as the 1991 Washington quarter becomes more difficult to find in good condition, its value will likely increase over time. Next up, the 1984 Washington quarter dollar is a fascinating coin, and when paired with a D-era mint mark in rusty condition, it becomes an even more intriguing piece for collectors and investors. To fully appreciate the value and rarity of this coin, we need to take a step back and explore its history, unique features, and why this specific version holds such immense value. The Washington quarter dollar has been a staple in American currency since 1932, honoring the nation's first president, George Washington. However, by the 1980s, this coin had gone through several redesigns and adjustments. The 1984 Washington quarter is part of the broader period in which the U.S. Mint continued producing quarters with a consistent obverse design, featuring George Washington's portrait, which was originally designed by artist John Flanagan. This design was maintained for nearly a century, with only minor adjustments over the years. While 1984 marked another typical year of mass circulation, the introduction of the D-era mint mark in 1984 was not anticipated. This rare anomaly occurred during the minting process, where an issue with the die or the striking process resulted in an off-center error, leading to a peculiar, sometimes rusty, appearance. Coins in this condition are increasingly being sought after in the auction market. The 1984 Washington quarter has a total mintage of 661,126,000 coins, which is fairly typical for this era. However, the D-era mint mark version, which is often found in a rusty or aged condition, makes it a rare find. The mint mark D is indicative of coins minted in Denver, and during the minting of the 1984 quarters, some errors occurred at the Denver Mint that caused the die to wear prematurely or improperly strike the coins, resulting in a rusty or oxidized appearance. The error specifically refers to the rust or corrosion that appears on the surface of the coin, typically along the rim or mint mark area. This effect usually makes the coin stand out in terms of visual appeal, but also increases its potential value in the market. The rusty condition does not necessarily decrease the value in the case of error coins, as collectors often find the unusual visual features desirable. The presence of rust is seen as part of the coin's unique character. The Washington quarter has a simple yet enduring design. The obverse features a profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States. His likeness, created by artist John Flanagan, was used on the coin for nearly all of its history. On the reverse side, we see a bald eagle perched on an olive branch, symbolizing peace, and holding arrows, signifying strength. The eagle was designed by artist Gilroy Roberts in 1932, and it has been the enduring reverse design ever since. The D-era mint mark on the 1984 coin signifies that it was minted in Denver, but due to an error during the striking process, the mint mark shows signs of rust. As such, these coins tend to have more pronounced features, including slightly worn-out designs, making them stand out even more to collectors. Collectors are drawn to error coins because they are anomalies in the production process. Error coins like the 1984 Washington quarter with the D-era mint mark in rusty condition are considered unique, and collectors see them as a representation of the imperfect nature of the minting process. The fact that only a limited number of these error coins exist, combined with the coin's significant mintage, makes this particular quarter highly attractive to both novice and expert collectors. This coin's rusty condition does not detract from its collectability. In fact, it adds to its charm. The collectors who seek out error coins tend to value the rarity of the piece rather than its pristine condition. The uniqueness of the error, combined with the aging or rusted look, can make this particular Washington quarter far more desirable than a standard 1984 quarter. The market value for a 1984 Washington quarter dollar with the D-era mint mark in rusty condition can vary greatly depending on the severity of the rust, the extent of the error, and overall market conditions. However, on average, these coins tend to fetch between $98,400 in auction settings. Some auctions have seen higher sales for well-preserved error coins with significant rust marks, where prices can soar well above this average range. Factors such as collector demand, current numismatic trends, and the rarity of the coin also play critical roles in determining how much a coin like this will sell for. Given the interest in error coins and the steady rise of coin collecting as both a hobby and investment, it's safe to say that these error quarters are likely to increase in value over time, especially if they are well maintained or if the rust is particularly striking. Next up, the 1985 Washington quarter dollar holds a special place in the history of U.S. coinage. Unlike the earlier 1984 quarter with a D-era mint mark, this coin is an example of a standard issue, yet it remains highly valuable due to its large date and excellent condition. Let's take a deeper dive into the coin's historical context, design features, and why it commands a high market value today. The large date variety refers to the size of the numerals used for the year 1985. This coin is part of a specific series where the date was struck with noticeably larger numbers compared to other years. While the larger size of the date might seem trivial, it provides a unique opportunity for collectors to pinpoint this specific coin, especially in excellent condition. In 1985, the U.S. Mint produced over 517 million Washington quarters across all mints, with the P mint mark indicating that these were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The overall mintage figures for the 1985 coin were higher than some other years, but the specific large date variety still stands out due to its unique characteristics. The large date feature, along with the P mint mark, is a distinguishing characteristic of this 1985 coin. The large date is easy to identify due to the disproportionate size of the numerals, especially when compared to other quarters from the same era. Despite the fact that the 1985 Washington quarter doesn't carry a minting error, like its 1984 counterpart, its large date variety is still highly desirable. For collectors, the appeal lies in the subtleties of the design, especially the size of the date and the specific mint mark. Those who collect quarters from particular years or are looking for unique varieties are often drawn to this coin. The interest in the large date 1985 quarter is bolstered by the fact that it's one of the few years where such a variation exists. While the mintage was relatively high, the specific design change made this coin more interesting to collectors looking to build a more comprehensive collection. Coins in the good condition are particularly valuable as they maintain the detail of the large date and are free from wear or damage. While it is not as rare as other coins with significant minting errors, the 1985 Washington quarter with the large date and P mint mark in good condition can still command a significant price at auction. Typically, these coins can fetch anywhere from $9,000 depending on the condition and collector demand. Because of the relatively high mintage and good overall supply of these coins, their prices have remained somewhat stable over the years. However, as the interest in specific design features such as the large date continues to grow, it's expected that coins like these will only increase in value as time goes on. The value could increase further in specialized auctions, where collectors are willing to pay a premium for well-preserved examples. Next up, the Washington quarter dollar coin, minted in 1998 with the large date and a P mint mark, is one of those coins that holds significant value in the market, especially when found in very fine condition. First issued in 1932, the Washington quarter was designed by John Flanagan and has seen numerous revisions throughout its existence. The 1998 Washington quarter, however, stands out among collectors for several key reasons. The 1998 coin falls under the program known as the 50 State Quarters, which was initiated by the U.S. Mint to celebrate the country's states and their unique histories. The 1998 Washington quarter features a large date, which refers to the design's font size used to mark the year. The 1998 coin is part of a series with different variations, and in this case, the large date version has become highly sought after, contributing to its premium value. The late 20th century saw a rise in collector interest surrounding commemorative coins, and the 1998 Washington quarter is no exception. The coin's release was part of the first year of the Statehood Quarter series, and each state's design commemorated an important historical event, landmark, or symbol of the state. During this period, coin collectors were especially focused on coins that featured designs that marked the 50 states, and this increased the overall demand and market value. The 1998 Washington quarter, designed by John Flanagan, features a profile of George Washington on the obverse side. This design has been in circulation since 1932. Washington, the first president of the United States, is depicted in a left-facing portrait. The reverse side, however, is where collectors get excited. The large date version of the coin was produced with a more noticeable date size, which makes it stand out among the other varieties of the coin produced in the same year. The reverse side of the coin features a classic eagle, symbolizing the strength and pride of the U.S. The details of the eagle, including the wings and the olive branch it carries, are significant design features that collectors love to see in high-quality coins. The 1998 Washington quarter had a large mintage, but the variation with the large date and P mint mark, especially in very fine condition, is considered quite rare and valuable. The mint produced billions of quarters in that year, but only a small percentage of them were graded in such high condition. When it comes to auction markets, this coin can fetch anywhere from $5,000 to several $100s depending on the specific grade. Coins in very fine condition typically attract higher bids, as collectors seek coins with minimal wear and a high level of detail. There are a few key reasons why collectors have such interest in the 1998 Washington quarter, with the large date and P mint mark. Firstly, this coin is a part of a transitional period in the U.S. Mint's coinage. The large date is considered a slight error because it differs from the smaller date version that was widely circulated. The error adds to the rarity and collectability of the coin. Some versions may also have slight die errors, creating even more desirable specimens.